Hey, welcome. Today, we're going to look at a totally different way to think about plant health. What if you could unlock a plant's highest level of immunity, not with some new chemical, but by transforming something that you usually just throw away? So let's just start with a question that gets right to the heart of this whole thing. When it comes to your plants, are you constantly firefighting? Reacting to problems, spraying for pests and diseases, always in a state of panic? Or are you building a fortress, a plant that's so healthy and strong it's naturally resilient to attack? Okay, let's dive into this idea of a metabolic fortress. This is a huge shift in thinking. It gets us away from the endless, exhausting war on symptoms, the insects, mildews, and gets us focused on cultivating a plant with such deep, inherent strength that those problems can't even get started. And this really lays out the two paths you can take. On one side, you've got firefighting. That's where a lot of conventional agriculture is kind of stuck, always reacting with chemicals. The source material actually calls this an admission of failure. But on the other side, you have fortress building. And that's the goal, right? To proactively build strength from inside the plant, letting it create its own defense system. See, the goal here isn't just to keep the plant alive. It's to help it climb what's called the plant health pyramid. Now, the bottom levels are all about the basics, photosynthesis, energy, that kind of stuff. But we're focused on getting to the very top, to level 4, where the plant unlocks its absolute full potential for immunity, flavor, and nutrition. So how does a plant get to that pinnacle of health? Well, it has a secret weapon. It's this incredibly sophisticated plant-wide immune alarm that it can switch on the moment it senses a threat. This system has a name, Systemic Acquired Resistance, or SAR for short. Honestly, the best way to think about SAR is like a vaccination for your plants. Once it's triggered, it doesn't just protect one little leaf. It puts the entire plant on high alert. This creates this amazing, long-lasting immunity against all sorts of threats. It's an incredibly powerful internal defense mechanism. This whole alarm system goes off in 3 stages. First up is perception. Receptors on the plant's cells literally taste the chemical signature of an enemy, like the chitin from an insect's shell. Then comes signaling. That taste triggers a hormonal code red, sending a message racing through the entire plant. And finally, you get the response. The whole fortress lights up, and defenses are activated everywhere, all at once. This all leads to a really cool question. If the plant has this amazing built-in alarm, can we figure out how to pull the fire alarm ourselves? Can we trigger this high alert state on purpose without an actual pest showing up and causing damage? Well, it turns out we can. The strategy is what the source material calls a false flag. We're basically faking an invasion. We introduce the signature of an attack, but without the actual attacker. This tricks the plant into thinking it's under threat, and it forces it to switch on its entire defensive arsenal before there's even a real danger. So how do we create this false signal? Well, the key, the real secret, it comes from a place you would probably never expect. A resource that most growers just throw in the compost pile. That's right, the secret ingredient is the waste trim and leaves from the hemp plant. This stuff, which is usually seen as totally useless, is actually packed with dormant compounds that, if you know what you're doing, can be converted into these super powerful molecules that can talk directly to the plant's immune system. This really elegant process of turning waste into a high-value resource, it actually has a name, valorization. And it's not just recycling, it's more like upgrading. You're taking something with literally zero value and turning it into a key that unlocks a plant's biological potential. It's a core principle of this whole system. So how do we wake up these powerful but sleepy compounds hidden in the waste trim? The process is a very specific heating protocol called decarboxylation. It's all about precision chemistry. It's actually pretty simple. You just bake the dried trim at a very precise temperature, 110 degrees Celsius. That heat is the catalyst. It provides just enough energy to break a specific chemical bond on the molecules in the trim, which releases a little carboxyl group as CO2. And you do this for exactly 45 minutes. That specific time at that specific temperature is what converts these once inactive compounds into what are known as active elicitors. These are the molecules that can now talk to the plant and trigger its immune system. We basically unlock the potential that was hidden in the waste all along. Okay, so now we have our activated trim. But to create a signal that is absolutely unmistakable, a false flag so convincing the plant has to respond, we're going to combine it with another trigger to create the ultimate immune alarm. And here's where the magic really happens. We use 2 triggers to create a 2-pronged attack signature. First, a chitinase extract. This mimics the physical threat. It feels like an insect's exoskeleton chewing on a leaf. Then, we use a tea made from our activated hemp, and that provides the chemical threat signal. It tastes like an invader. When you put those together, they send a message the plant cannot ignore. You are under attack, arm yourself now. So what's the payoff? I mean, what happens when you successfully trick the plant into sounding this alarm? You push it all the way to the top of that pyramid. You achieve what's called level 4 plant health. The plant's response is just dramatic. It floods its system with this cocktail of defensive compounds. We're talking about essential oils and terpenes that actually repel pests, and these powerful antimicrobial compounds called phytoalexins, which are basically the plant's own custom-made antibiotics. The plant is literally transforming itself into its own medicine cabinet and its own armory. And the benefits you can see and measure at level 4 are huge. The plant builds thicker cell walls, making it physically tougher for anything to chew on it. It starts manufacturing its own pest repellents and gains immunity to a whole range of insects and even viruses. But the payoff for us? It's not just a plant that survives, it's a plant that thrives. And that translates directly into a crop with the highest possible nutrient density, the most intense flavors, and the best aroma you can imagine. So we'll end with this really powerful thought from this source material because it reframes the entire goal. Instead of asking, how do I kill this pathogen, the question becomes, how do I build a plant that is so profoundly healthy, so fortified from the inside out, that the pathogens simply can't find anything to eat and can't get in? When you build the fortress, the battle is won before it even begins.